Jim and Carrey's Top Rules for Life. My cardinal rules of life. 1. Remember, if you're haunted by the feeling, life is going wrong, I'm not doing what I should be doing, then everyone will wipe their feet at you. 2. Never take yourself too seriously. When my agent, my attorney, and my 2 managers were negotiating my fee for the cable guy, which was at my house, and we were on speakerphone with that party, we were all dressed up in white bathrobes a la Ace Ventura. A comedian doesn't necessarily change the world with his art, but he can make life in it more bearable. Before my career got off the ground, I was in comedy clubs for 15 years. At night I was lying in bed and thinking about the psychology of the audience, trying to understand what people need, what they need. And I think I figured out where the dog was buried. I can make people forget everything for 2 hours and have a good time. I help them relax. Sometimes I'm like a band-aid on a wound, and sometimes my work is a small contribution to their healing. The best days of our lives are often the hardest at the same time. When I played Ace Ventura, it was the happiest time of my life. But it was also the hardest. I was having problems with my wife. In a way, I was saved by the fact that I was a comedian. I was saved by the fact that I looked at life with humor. I saw through the suffering. They say that humor is actually angry, but because the anger, this is actually pushed into the subconscious pain. Some of the best comedy scenes in my life, I played at the time, when I fought with his wife, when I was really shit. That's right, my family hit rock bottom when I was 16. We kids had to go to work. We became the family janitorial crew, scrubbing pubic hair off the toilet seats. I hated the whole world. I was terribly hurt that life had treated my father this way. But it's boring to tell me about my childhood and youth. Under no circumstances can I watch other people's movies where I wasn't. If I go to see a movie, then I think, these 2 hours that I spent at the movies, I could probably make up some crazy thing, something that has not yet been on screen. I'm just crazy for wasting my time. Believe it or not, I was painfully shy as a kid. The earth did not give birth to such a nerd as I was. No one, seriously, no one. Talk to me. Who? Jim. He's crazy, okay? I don't give a shit about him. Suddenly it occurred to me that the clownish things I was doing at home could also be done at school. I remember well the first time I tried it. I came to school and started falling up the stairs. Everyone around me just exploded with laughter. I was Jim the Jerk and became Jim the Jerk, sure, but funny. That was the beginning of the end. It's not easy being the first one to talk to women. You can improvise in front of the camera like nobody else, you can fountain genius ideas, but when you have to take a few steps and say, "Hello, I like you. Would you say yes if I took you out to dinner?" That's a different story. I'm always shaking. Sometimes you get over the fear, and sometimes you can't. But I don't blame myself for that. I think I do not want to turn into the type who does not care about anything, who can come up to anyone with the words, "Hello, baby." No, there's no way I'd agree to be like that. I love music. My whole life, since I was a kid. My dad was a clarinetist and saxophonist, and we always had big band music in our house. My daughter is also a real jazz fan. When she comes to visit me, she plays Miles Davis. And she's 18. She knows jazz better than I do. When she came to visit me in New York, we used to go to the Lenox Lounge in Harlem and watch jazz musicians play live and everything, and it was great. I was able to do for her what my father did for me in his time. I was into stand-up comedians, and my father used to take me to Yuck Yucks on Church Street. That's where I had my first show, at the Yuck Yucks. I remember it vividly. It was an awful place, 2 lanes of bowling and a stage in front of them. The audience there was advanced, guys in turtlenecks, lights of intelligence, and the greatest pleasure for them was if some sucker came on stage. They let me out after the guy who was telling jokes about Hitler. So I came out, in a yellow polyester suit, my mother suggested it, and started doing the Sammy Davis Jr. repertoire. I don't know why I didn't like it. Anyway, the club management obviously didn't like Sammy Davis Jr. They immediately played that Jesus Christ Superstar bit from backstage where they sang, "Crucify Him. Crucify Him." The sound engineer was turning knobs to make my microphone make all kinds of sound effects, and the entertainer from backstage was muttering into his own microphone, "That's nerdy, that's nerdy." After that, I couldn't perform as a stand-up comedian for 2 years. What is the source of inspiration? I take a lot from animal behavior. When I was an aspiring actor, I had a cat that was very strange. Sometimes his ears sort of moved backwards. It was a sign that he was about to make a wild mischief. One day, looking at the cat, I suddenly realized, aha, this is what I have to do. Let the audience get the feeling that I was about to start climbing the curtains, that I was going to do something crazy. I've believed in miracles all my life. I don't know if they really happen or if it just feels like that. But I think that's the essence of faith. If you believe you can do something, the likelihood of success increases. In 2nd grade, we had a new Irish teacher. She said, "If I pray to the Blessed Virgin Mary, I ask for anything and she gives me whatever I ask for." I came home that day and prayed to the Virgin Mary for a bicycle, a Mustang bicycle. My father, because of poverty, could not buy me a bicycle, and all my friends had Mustangs. And then 2 weeks later I came home from school, went through the living room to my bedroom, and my brother came in and said, "What are you sitting here for? Did you see what we have in the kitchen?" It was my Mustang. I had won a green Mustang bike in the raffle for customers, even though I didn't even participate in it, didn't send coupons anywhere. We had another great teacher at our school. I still haven't thanked her publicly for everything she did for me. Her name was Lucy Derwatis, and she taught us Beatles lyrics. Seriously, the topic of today's lesson was Eleanor Rigby. We went through the lyrics from the beginning to the end, we discussed what each word could mean, we looked for subtext, for double meanings. It was awfully good. And Lucy Derwatis got me to stop being a jerk in class and pour my energy out by putting on a show at the end of the school day. She told me, "If you behave yourself and don't disturb the other students, at the end of the last class, after you've done your assignment, I'll give you 15 minutes to perform." I'd do my assignment, and instead of distracting my classmates, I'd make up my own repertoire, think of ways to get the teachers through and stuff like that. By the way, Lucy Derwatis confiscated a couple of her portraits of my work at the time. The cartoons I used to draw of her in the back of my desk. And years later, when I became famous, she mailed them back to me. My life is a lunatic's dream. Sometimes it gets really crazy, seriously. The other day, I had George Martin, the producer of the Beatles, Esquire, with me. I talked to him for 3 hours. It's impossible to get used to. He was very modest. He came up and shook my hand, and he said, "It's an honor to meet you," and I said, "Come on, you're pulling my leg. Man, you can't be serious." If I play too many dramatic roles, I get awfully serious. And if I do too much comedy, I get bored. I start thinking about what else to do. For me, it's better to pass for a man question and take the roles in which no one expects to see me. I want my films were close to the people. I am a person, I have a thin skin, and if my films feel it, I'm proud of them. Many of us have nutty relatives. And some of us, in the eyes of our relatives, are geeks ourselves. It's very interesting to look back at the past. I mean, you look back, and it's completely crazy, just a plague. And I guess nothing much has changed since then. And in addition, a few more of Jim's favorite aphorism. I was always on the case, and when my mother would ask me to do on top of everything else, I could throw a tantrum. I was just going crazy. At home you're just a man, not a star. I could give it all up tomorrow. I've already reached the top. This selfish business makes me fear for myself sometimes. I know you can be happy forever, but I also know that you can't be happy forever for 10 years. Steve Jobs was an amazing man. He will live on my hard drive forever. I just wanted to be myself. Desperation is the impetus to learn or create something new. If you don't have periods of despair, you are not evolving. Life is an exciting challenge, and there's no way I'd want to go back to the old days of obscurity and poverty. Either you erase, or you'll be the one who gets erased. Love is never perfect. I don't want it erased from my life. I love my pain. She's my friend. Many of us have crazy relatives. And many of us are crazy in the eyes of our relatives. A lot of love has been kindled in your heart in 10 years. If you're inactive right now, you either have uncertainty ahead of you, or you have regrets about something. I used to like women with anger in their eyes. Maybe I just wanted to make them happy. Desperation is a necessary ingredient for learning something or for creating something. If you have talent, it will protect you. I'm glad to get my hands on the original and not the fake that Tom Hanks uses the bathroom. I wanted a career where I could make people laugh and cry. It turned out to be theater. My goal is to forget the pain. To laugh at pain, to reduce pain, to tease pain. It's all laughter. My dad is a lot like my mom. He always pushed me to do what I wanted to do. Do I know what I do every day? I wash my face. Personal hygiene is part of my life. Reality is very important. Without motivation there is no development. Only desperation makes people strive for something. Maybe other people will try to limit me, but I don't limit myself. If you give up your dreams, what's left? I live by the principle of believe, self-affirm, dream. Morgan Freeman is cool. He's cool. He's scary. When things get really bad, all you have to do is laugh. Problems should be solved, not pilled. 50 isn't scary, about your age. If we treated pigs better, there'd be no swine flu. I like to play with selfishness and insecurity at the same time. I try to do something the audience hasn't been able to see before. I live by the principle of believing, self-asserting, dreaming. Either you are one of the wipers, or you are one of the removed. If you give up your dreams, what's left? When I work, I become like a maniac. Originality is what really matters. Behind the shoulder of every great man is a woman. Life goes wrong somehow, I'm not doing what I should be doing. I want to love, and I do. And it doesn't matter how long it lasts, centuries or a moment. My daughter has been ashamed of me most of her life. It's hard to be my daughter. My dad is a lot like my mom, he was always pushing me to do what I wanted to do. My goal is to forget about the pain. Laughing at the pain, reducing the pain, teasing the pain. It's all laughter. Without motivation, there is no development. Only despair makes people strive for something. Having succeeded, I chose fans to pursue, as they pursue me. I am a Buddhist, and I am a Muslim, and I am a Christian. I believe in all religions, because they have a lot in common. If you are inactive right now, you either have uncertainty ahead of you, or you have regrets about something. Life is an exciting experience, and there is no way I would want to go back to the old days of obscurity and poverty. I was always on top of things, and when my mother asked me to do on top of everything else, I could throw a tantrum. I was just going crazy. Desperation is the impetus to learn or create something new. If you don't have periods of despair, you're not evolving. I could give up everything tomorrow. I've already reached the top. This selfish business sometimes makes me fear for myself. I am the first to admit that salary is a thing that is virtually uncontrollable. And as usual, we're talking about work again. I like to go to bed late, not because I take long walks, but because it's the only time I get to be alone with myself. I would like to be a great actor whose name would live on forever. I would have been proud of myself. But it doesn't have to be that way. You just have to be yourself. That's all. If I didn't take risks in my career, I wouldn't be a comic actor, and I'd be sitting at home watching Leonardo DiCaprio embody my image. I'm a hard man to live together. I'm like a tiger that rushes around in a cage. I like to stay up at night and wander around the house. You shouldn't make me out to be something I'm not. And I just want to be myself.